Thank you very much. We'll go straight into just a few questions from my end here, and then we will, of course, get to the audience. If you're still with us via Twitter, don't forget that you can, of course, join the conversation using the hashtag #ImagineNigeria. I want to start this conversation with the panel. Let me start with BC first. You were talking about a number of statistics and figures concerning education, but one of the areas many people don't know about is the Universal Basic Education Fund, and how many states have actually refused to access the counterpart funding because there seem to be plenty conditions attached to their ability to get their hands on the money. Cheta earlier talked about, as he was ending, he talked about the issue of political will. Does the education situation we find ourselves in simply come down to a lack of political will?
Yes, that's the truth. So, I mean, there are a whole lot of bureaucracy that is surrounding so many of things that we would think are just no-brainers. And then you have, I don't honestly know what some of the legislators were thinking when, you know, so many of these laws were being promulgated. Again, perhaps the way some of our politicians have dealt with money over the years is probably the reason why some of these things have been done this way. We need to come to a place where predominantly the focal point should be the development of our people. And that should be what will drive whatever sort of legislation that we begin to put in place. I mean, there are a whole lot of fundings that could be accessed to take care of these challenges. But they are not accessible because of some of the bureaucratic process that has to be, you know, taken into cognizance in the process of doing this. And a lot of people just basically walk away from them. So that's where the real problem is. So going back to saying, if this administration or other administration that will come is genuinely interested in moving, you know, human capital development forward, we need to begin to look at how we will get, you know, all this bureaucratic process cut down, all the red tapes have to go so that, you know, we can move forward. And that's the only way we can progress.
All right, I'll put this question to both you and Cheta. This is investing in the people of Nigeria. You don't invest by mouth only. You invest using resources, using money. And we have states that are currently struggling to pay salaries. We have a conversation now about increasing the national minimum wage. And the question that keeps reoccurring is, where is the money going to come from? You have states that are they're hoping to move their internally generated revenue up using an increased tax base, which many people say is a burden on the people of Nigeria. Where will the money to invest in the people of Nigeria come from? Where will the money for investing in education, in health, where will it come from?
So, I mean, I'm not going to use any state as an example, but I'm going to just basically talk generally. You find that so many governors just put money in things that don't, you know, make sense to an average person. For example, I've seen a governor who thinks that this road is not okay as it is. I just want to destroy it and build something else. Note the word, destroy. At the end of the day, nothing comes out of that road. Money has been released for that particular project and it just goes away. There are so many things that we waste money on, especially at the state level. And for young people like you and I, everybody focus more on Abuja, Abuja, Abuja. What is happening at the state and local level? The main responsibility of primary education lies on the local government arm of the 3 tiers of government. But what we find now is that the subnational government at the state level has already usurped the power of, you know, the local council. They don't get to do anything anymore. It's just like, you know, the local government chairman will go to the state capital and say, we've come, what do you think we can do? They don't have anything that they do on their own. So how do you begin to think about primary health care that is their own responsibility? How do you think about primary school education that is their responsibility and all of that? The state collects every revenue that is due to the local government. The local government doesn't have anything, you know, they do on their own, which is the reason why we need to continue to advocate for the autonomy of the local government system in Nigeria. The way the structure is built is that we must have 3 tiers of governance: the federal, the state, and the local. The local is already paralyzed. They have responsibility that the Constitution bestow on them. So if you have already destroyed that tier of government, who will carry on the responsibility that is due to that arm of the government? Governors, they do whatever they like. And you see, I'm so sorry to bring age into this. Many of us young people have said that, you know, you want more young people represented, this one, that one. I don't have any problem with it. But bad leadership is an equal opportunity in Nigeria. Whether you are old, whether you are young, it doesn't necessarily matter. The youngest governor in this country holds the most salary, right? The oldest governor in this country has students who had gone on strike while they are coming to protest for them, for their school to be reopened. So it has nothing to do with age. Bad leadership is bad leadership. We need to ask ourselves, we have to cut the waste and reinvest them in social infrastructure that can move us forward.
All right. Before Cheta goes on to the question concerning where the money will come from, we do have to let you know that our TV audience, if we do end up now, you can still continue to join the conversation on social media. Follow at BudgetNG. That is where we are also streaming live. And this conversation, Investing in the People of Nigeria, is brought to you by BudgetNG. Follow the hashtag Imagine Nigeria and continue to make sure you are part of all of the conversations. We thank you, those who have joined us via television, but we'll continue the conversation here physically. There is one person very quickly who will say one or two things very, very quickly before we wrap things up on the live aspect of the show.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Comfort Booth. I'm from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Thank you so much for attending this event, and it's fantastic to hear the feedback, you know, based on what has been going on. So my two kobo here is everyone made very good points on where the government should come in, what the government should do and all. But one thing is important: responsibility and taking the responsibility. We can have all the health, all the education, but if the youth that is being targeted as a conversation for a generation do not even know that they need to take that responsibility more seriously, there is no time anymore. I think one of the speakers even said it, that there's no time anymore. We need to get to work. The youth, this generation has to become urgent. Yes, not too young to run, great. But before we run, we need to take a look at our own selves. Are we positioned? Are we ready to take the opportunities? Are we ready to make the sacrifices? Nothing can be done without making sacrifices. Are we ready to talk to each other? Are we ready to encourage each other? Are we ready to point people in the direction that we can see that they can go? So that is part of investing in people. So while you are educated and you're healthy, you need to hold the hand of your brother and sister too. Because if you don't, that's what she was referring to about the social inequalities. It will repeat itself. And we don't want to repeat the circle. We want to break the circle.
This is Channels Television broadcasting live from Lagos, Nigeria. You've been watching our live coverage of an event organized by BudgetNG, Investing in the People of Nigeria. To stay with us as we resume our lineup of normal programming.
You've been watching a live Channels